Alright guys, welcome back. Today I want to take a look at the OCG. There's a new meta game breakdown and I always find this very interesting. Let me know in the comments whether you are also interested in looking at the OCG, because obviously we will have this in a few months and they have a new structure for this, an even better one honestly. There are more decks, they show more decks here, more example decks, which I really like, and they also have this graph here which basically shows how the decks being played change over time, which is very interesting, and this we are going to take a look at today. Tomorrow I want to take a look at one of the best, or maybe the best deck that there is currently in the OCG, which is Vanquish Soul K9. And this is the cool thing, we will also get the Vanquish Soul support. Obviously, Vanquish Soul will become very good once again. And this is a very interesting deck, which kind of reminds me of Tier Elements in the sense that we are also playing on our opponent's turn, but not really super toxic, but more fun in my opinion. But I will show you this tomorrow. As you can see right here, we have Vanquish Soul, which is Vanquish Soul K9. This is the engine that belongs to Vanquish Soul. This is these here, so these cards from this girl on until this guy here, which is the werewolf guy. These are the K9 cards. We will come to this in a second here. And then you can see there is Yummy, which kind of reminds me of Pearly, honestly, being the second most represented one. Draco Tail, and then we still have Maliss. There is K9 Crystron, so we will also be able to combine K9 with Crystron, but also with Vanquish Soul. We have Sky Striker with the new Sky Striker support. White Forest, where we will also still get support. Lunar Light, crazy deck, and then Primite Blue Eyes. And you can see Ryziel is no longer here. We will most likely see it if we scroll down here. There will definitely be some Ryziel here and there, but it wasn't enough. Well, actually 25 Ryziel decks, but within, I don't know, this looks like a lot, within, I don't know, maybe 1,000 decks or something like this. So 1,751, so therefore 25 Ryziel decks are actually not that much. So here you can see what the meta will probably be looking like in the future in a Master Duel as well, because we are pretty close to the OCG. You can see Maliss is still here. We have just received this. And the first deck to talk about, and once again I will talk about this more in depth because I think it's a very cool and interesting one, I'm very hyped for this, is Vanquish Soul. So they received the new cards Vanquish Soul Holy Sue, Vanquish Soul Start, and then also Vanquish Soul Rocks, which is not even in this extra deck list. This is an extra deck monster that I guess basically pushes more damage, but is not very functional otherwise. The really important cards for Vanquish Soul are the Holy Sue that you can see right here, and Vanquish Soul started the new field spell. And why this is so good is because before Vanquish Soul's best starter was Raisin, but Dr. Matloff, for example, couldn't really search something super valuable. But now Dr. Matloff can search the field spell, and if you don't know, the field spell basically says that you can target a Vanquish Soul monster on the field, and I think add to hand one with a different attribute. So therefore you now have a starter, or your Matloff basically gets you to the map or the field spell, and this is basically a starter now. So we have more valuable starters in this deck than before, which is super nice. Also, this field spell has the ability, if you control at least 2 Vanquish Soul monsters, you can set, I think, a Vanquish Soul trap, spell or trap. You can set the trap at the end of the turn, which obviously is super nice. You don't need to search it via your Gyalong, for example, can search other things, like the Holy Sue, which is a really crazy Vanquish Soul card. You can quick effect in your main phase or the opponent's main phase, and this is where this entire playing on your opponent's turn thing comes up. You can reveal a different Vanquish Soul monster in your hand, then special summon her, and then she has 2 abilities. So she can first, basically, I think, this is where I'm not quite sure, but I think it's Fire and Dark to special summon a Vanquish Soul monster from your deck, and it's, I don't know, Dark and Earth to take control of, I think, the opponent's monster with the least defense points, your choice if it's tied. So you can summon this on your opponent's turn and steal a body if you have the right attributes in the hand, or you can special summon on your turn, extending your combos, which is super nice, extremely strong support. And then we have the K9 cards, which are also very nice, because I think if your opponent activates a card from the hand, then you can special summon them in the main phase, so you can also special summon them on your opponent's turn. All of them are a rank 5, and you can special summon them, and then you can also on your opponent's turn go into XYZ rank 5. This could be this Psy Blaster, which I think flips a card face down, so Book of Moon, or the K9 boss monster, you could call it. Mercatore Ripper it's called, I think, and Ripper has the ability firstly to detach a card and then you can negate a card in the hand. So for example, you can be Nibiru proof, but you can also upgrade this with, I think, this Vanquish or this K9 card here into the Werewolf. And I think the Werewolf can destroy or banish a card. So you have a lot of interruptions that you can actually get into on your opponent's turn. And this is where, as you can see, we don't play a lot of non-engine in here. We only have the Fuvas, the Ashes, the Maxis, and then yeah, this is basically it. Let's call the Crossout and the Talents non-engine. But we have a lot of hand traps in the form of engine cards, like we had this in Tier Elements. And I've seen a lot of Vanquish Soul K9 matches, and it looks really fun. It looks very skillful, and you have to understand what you are doing. We can only hope that this guy here, the pair dice smasher, which was banished in the OCG, this is not the current list though, that we also get this banished. I will explain to you tomorrow in the video why this would be important. Then we have Yummy, this deck with the little guys here, where they can go into these synchro monsters here. And so for example, every one of them has an additional effect if they are being summoned by the effect of a synchro monster. For example, I think one of them banishes one card from the graveyard, the other one draws. I think this one draws, I think this one banishes, and this one destroys a card. And you can basically use this link 1 here, which you can make with every Yummy monster. You can use this link 1 on your opponent's turn, quick effect, to do a synchro summon. And this link 1 here, if you make these 3 synchros here, you can make them with a link 1, so with this card basically, which then becomes the tuner. These are not tuners, but this will be your level 1 tuner basically, which is already a bit strange, but it's kind of cool. So you make these boss synchro monsters, I guess, and then all of them can be basically tagged out, for example, to summon Yummies from your graveyard, and then you summon these little Yummies and they have their effects because they were summoned by a synchro monster. And this is a very interesting deck. The field spell, for example, which is this one, I think it's Archetype. This one gives every light monster, oh, is it light Earth or something, Light Fiend, but every light monster, Light Fairy, I think for every Light Fairy monster on your field or on the entire field, you get 500 attack points push. And if, for example, you have 4 of them, so let's say all of the little ones and then one of the bigger ones, just for your information, they don't have a lot of attack, but they can be boosted with the field spell by quite a lot, and therefore you can finish the game with that. They can also make an Arc Light. I heard of the Arc Light on the first turn, protecting them from something like Raigeki, for example. And you can see we can also play this with a little Sky Striker package. So a Yummy, definitely very interesting. And Draco Tail was definitely a bit on the down low or on the decline, which is a fusion deck. If you fusion summon with these monsters, then if they hit the graveyard because they have been fusion summoned away, then you can, I think, add to the hand or set one of the Draco Tail spells and traps, which is how you can make a plus by fusion summoning. And there's also this red one here, which is basically able to, I think during the main phase, also your opponent's main phase, quick effect fusion summon on your opponent's turn, and then you have an interruption. So you can see that we have a lot of decks which can do something on your turn, but in my opinion, not something that is too toxic. I think the most impactful one might be the Holy Su, but once again with the Holy Su you need the right attributes to even be able to steal something, and the K9 cards, hey, they can make like a Book of Moon, or can, I think, destroy a card via this Werewolf. Not even sure, maybe you can only, I think you can only establish the Ripper on your opponent's turn, which means you would only be able to basically negate a card from the hand. I think you can also make this shark guy here, and I think this one can bounce or something. So there's nothing too crazy here, and this is where I think this could be a very fun format. Once again, all of these archetypes, Draco Tail, Yummy, and the K9 archetype, are actually from one deck building pack. So the deck building packs go really crazy here. This is also where Ryziel and Maliss is from, and it's important to note that once again this is the first support wave for the K9, Yummy, and the Draco Tail cards. There are even more cards coming for this archetype, or for these archetypes, which will make it even more interesting. And then we can also see a Maliss list here. We obviously still have Maliss. I have looked over this in the what comes in the next pack video. If you have not seen that one, go check that out in the top right corner. But yeah, they already have the Adagnister support. They have the Dormos already at 1, which at some point we might also see. They are either not having the Gold Sarcophagus live, or they decided to not play it. I would be a bit surprised though. This might be at 1 Gold Sarcophagus with them. I think this was hit. Yeah, but other than that, we have the Dormos here, we have the Adagnister support, super good support, the Adagnister boss monster, which is also very good, but I think it's not the most important one from the Adignista cards. The backup Adignista is a very, very good extender, and this is definitely what Maliss wants, making more 2-card combos from Maliss very good. And with the Allied Code Talker, you have a new boss monster, which is kind of nice because then you do not need to run this Dark Fluid Terahertz guy. You actually don't need to run it right now, but he takes up 3 extra deck spaces, whereas this Allied Code Talker, which is an Omni Negate, very nice, only takes up 1. And we can see right here a few extra side deck cards. And you can see there's the Artifact Lancia, which we are also seeing everywhere on the ladder. They are not even playing the Lancia, so this is where, let's see whether they play, or they also play the Lancia. But you can see that not all side decks are playing Lancia, which kind of points to the fact that maybe there is not that much Maliss running around. It is only the 4th most represented deck. Even this Maliss deck isn't playing Lancia for the mirror match, so that is what it is. And here we have the development of Vanquish Soul, K9, Yummy, Draco Tail, and Maliss over the different releases here. This is Duat, so Duelist Advance, I think, and I'm not quite sure what this is, TTP1. The overall tally has Vanquish Soul and Yummy at a very similar count. Duelist Advance, and actually they don't really tell you what this is. If you're aware, you can let me know what TTP1 is, but TTP1 does, or it does not seem so that they have really changed a lot. But you can see right here that we had a Maliss definitely on the uprise. In Duat, Duelist Advance, is this where they... This is not where the Adignista support came, so very interesting that Maliss once again came back. They didn't receive anything new because the Adignista support is already from now I'm blanking on the name of the set, but it's not Duelist Advance, it's the other one, the Cybers pack basically. So yeah, Maliss came strong here, was the most represented deck at some point. Oh, sorry, this is Vanquish Soul K9. Okay, I was confusing this. This makes more sense now. But yeah, this was with the release in Duat, I think they got the new Vanquish Soul cards. And they, I think, already had the K9 cards, and then Vanquish Soul K9 became the most dominant, with Yummy in the 2nd place basically all the time, and Draco Tail definitely falling a bit off, as well as Maliss. I mean, it's to be expected. They have already been hit, the Maliss deck, and the new decks here, they still need to be hit. They have basically everything illegal, but very interesting. And I think that we are looking at an interesting and healthy format here. As you can see, there is no really dominant deck. There are a lot of decks that can compete here. Very diverse, very cool decks in the sense that they can play on your opponent's turn. Not a lot of non-engine. I think not a lot of very toxic cards in here, at least as I have seen in the Japanese and also in the Chinese, I think it was World Championship qualifier, where I watched a few games with this structure here, and I think it's really fun. As I already said, I will show you a Vanquish Soul K9 tomorrow, as and not much is happening right now in Master Duel. If you want to know what the best decks for the new event are, I have made a video about this. Otherwise, let me know in the comments what you think of this. Are you excited for this future format? Obviously, this is way, way off in the future, but I think it's very fun to take a look at this because, yes, we will also receive this, especially, for example, because Vanquish Soul K9 will be way better in Master Duel than, for example, in the TCG, because we have Maxi, and Maxi is actually an Earth monster, which obviously is very important. As you can see right here, the K9s are also Earth and Dark, super good for the deck. Everything works together here, so I'm very excited for this future format. But for now, let's enjoy the Maliss and then Ryzia format, Maliss Ryzia format. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for being here, and we will see each other in the next one.